Hello, and welcome to a special look inside the life of, well, me, Dweeble. As I'm sure you all know, I spent many moments of my life dedicated to unlocking shocking truths, which, much to my surprise, made me somewhat of a celebrity. And something which will come as no shock to you, celebrities are not just famous, but also rich. So, I felt it was time to offer my adoring fans a glimpse into the lifestyles of the rich and famous, Robin Leach style. Now, prior to my fame, if I wanted to take a trip down to Florida, I would have to travel by tree branch. As you can imagine, this is a long and tiring method of travel, but now I get to travel in style. So, let me take you along for my latest adventure to Walt Disney World. I had a little trouble navigating my luggage through the airport, but I finally managed to drop it off. Of course, how could I possibly start my day without a little pick me up from Starbucks? After being fully caffeinated, I found myself getting shockingly excited, waiting to board my plane. Once on board, I took my seat, which proved to be a little problematic since the seatbelt didn't quite fit. They served us snacks, and I enjoyed myself a nice beverage with some Biscoff. Booyah! The journey took us all the way from Detroit, Michigan to Walt Disney World in no time. And once there, I ran into some familiar faces, Mickey and his friends. They were so excited to see me, as you can tell from these photos. I guess they were a little starstruck. Sometime later, I arrived at my room. I decided to splurge, since rumors are there are owls who hunt squirrels in the trees around Disney. But that didn't stop me from enjoying the view from my balcony. Getting hungry, I made my way down to the boardwalk where I bought not one, but two corn dogs to try. As you can imagine, I was a little stuffed animal after that. The next day, I put on my magic band and made my way to the most magical place on earth. The line to get in wasn't terribly long. Well, we got to see views of the train station and jack-o'-lanterns the size of, well, really big pumpkins. And then the castle. A thing of beauty. Only I hear it is infested with mice. So take that for what it's worth. Next up, we took a flying ship over the city of London to Neverland, thanks to a little pixie dust and Peter Pan. Then we took a boat tour of the world. It was amazing how quickly that went. I guess it is a small world after all. Now, I don't know how you feel about ghosts, but I'm not a fan, so I decided to forego taking a tour of the Haunted Mansion. But I did at least manage to get a nice photographic journalismer to take a picture of me out front. Next up, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I was really excited to ride this ride since I heard there are animals all throughout. But then I found one of those animals was an alligator, and then there was a big drop. So I decided to sit this one out. But to my surprise, I managed to run into the burners. Here they are, well, dropping. I then took a train ride back over to Fantasyland, where I checked out Ariel's Under the Sea Adventure, and then joined the burners once again for a tour around Tomorrowland on the People Mover, presented by Enterprise. After an exhausting but fun day at the Magical Kingdom, I returned the next morning bright and early and headed into Epcot, which, for those who don't know, stands for EPCOT. First up, another ride about animals, Ratatouille. Then, over to Frozen. Despite the name of the ride, however, it was still like 1,000,000,000 degrees out. Anyway, in the gift shop, I met a real-life troll. But I have to admit, I felt his personality was a little wooden. Next, I headed over to a giant golf ball ride called Spaceship Earth. But I found it terribly disappointing because all they talked about was the accomplishments of mankind, with no mention of the contributions made by squirrel kind. Thumbs down, I'm afraid. One of the newest attractions at EPCOT is called Journey of Water. It was a bit of a misnomer, though, because the water didn't really travel anywhere. It was fun, though, and quite beautiful, with a few trees, even for squirrels like me. I did manage to run into a friendly duck. I tried to make friends with her, but truthfully, she was a bit of a quack. Now, after a little nap and a few nuts to refresh me, it was time to experience what are apparently two of the best letters in all of EPCOT, and that is X and R. Turns out, it was just a roller coaster through space trying to save the galaxy or something. Nothing special, really, unless you're into that kind of thing. The next day, it was time to check out the park I was most interested in because it was all about famous folks like me. Hollywood Studios. I started out trying to visit the old Hollywood Tower Hotel, but it seemed a bit dilapidated, and they had the doors chained up, but I did manage to find an elevator just my size. After that, I decided to visit Mickey and Minnie and check out their runaway railway. Sounded fun, but all they seemed interested in was smooching. So I moved on and got to experience one of those 3D movies featuring stuffies called The Puppets. I managed to bump into one of my many cousins named Percival eating popcorn, so we hung out together for the rest of the day and caught up. Back to the magical kingdom, I got to the park so early I was the first in line to experience Mickey's PhilharMagic. But as I'm learning about Walt Disney World, it was a lie. It was really all about Donald Duck. Next up, I got to meet Pooh Bear, a bouncing tiger, and some heffalumps and woozles. Oh my. Percival wanted to meet me on Frontierland for the wildest ride in the wilderness. I got in line, but I ultimately decided it was too wild for my liking and found something else to do more to my liking. Watching musical bears sing musical numbers in a country bear musical jamboree. I wrapped up my day taking one last look at the mouse-infested castle and headed back to my room. Now, the one park I hadn't been to yet is probably the one you'd think was my favorite. It was, after all about animals, the animal kingdom. But I don't know who they were kidding. First of all, there were giant floating mountains without a single animal to be seen. Then, a show featuring giant lions, warthogs, giraffe, and elephants. But who are they kidding? They all just seem like giant stuffed animals. And who wants to see a show about stuffed animals? And, if that wasn't enough, there was another show about giant fish who got lost at the Marine Life Institute, and you guessed it, completely fake. I did check out the ride that takes place on Mount Everest, but as is the case for other roller coasters at the other parks, this was a ride I preferred to just observe from a distance. Then, finally, there was a giant dinosaur, but much like the troll from Epcot, he was a bit stiff. I finished out the day, first stopping by the Animal Kingdom Lodge. But as it turns out, they don't actually allow animals to rent rooms there, and they make them stay out in the savannah. So I went back to Epcot to ride Soarin' and Living with the Land, then watching the fireworks from my hotel. And now it comes to my final day. Hard to believe, only 9 minutes has passed, and here we are, back in Hollywood Studios one last time to finish out the trip. Had a campfire with the gang, and then watched Mickey and Minnie have some vacation fun of their own. Instead of Disney World, though, they went to visit Potato Land. I've been there myself. Here's a photo. Well, there you have it. Your own behind-the-scenes tour of the rich and famous, where only you can see the shocking truth about how Dweeble does Disney.